All right. So now we're on to our very last lesson in Math 21, Outcome 9b. And we're just going to start by reading through a few little statements. So the first one says, small deposits over a long term can have a greater future value than a really large deposit over a short term because you earn lots more interest if it's compounded over a longer period of time. The factors that contribute to a larger return on investment are time, right? The longer you invest it, the more money you're going to make. The interest rate, the higher the rate, the higher the amount of money you make. And the compounding frequency. The more it's compounded a year, the more money you will make. The longer that sum of money is able to earn interest at a higher rate, compounded more often, the more interest will be earned. For investments involving regular payments, the payment frequency would also be a factor. So all we're going to do is do two examples, just comparing the first one, compound interest and simple interest. And then the second example is going to look at compounding frequency. So example 1, Allison wants to invest $2,000 at a rate of 1.75 per year, compounded annually for 10 years. How much will she have at the end of her investment, and how much interest did she earn? And then after that, we're going to do the same investment, but pretending it was a simple interest, and seeing how much more money she made in one of those than the other. So the first one is compounded. So this is my formula. So she's investing $2,000. If I want to find I go 1.75 divided by 100. I get 0.0175. It's compounded annually, so 0.0175. It's getting compounded for 10 years at once a year. So now I add and do that multiplication for n. That's what I do next. When I multiplied it out, I got 1.1894449. And now my final multiplication, I get 2,378.88. So my total amount of interest would be that future value, subtract what I invested. So my interest was $378.88. So now we're going to do the same thing, but it says, well, what if it was a simple interest? So in simple interest, that's this formula. So my interest is my principal, my rate as a decimal, which was 0.0175. I don't have to worry about compounding because I'm not compounding in simple interest. And in 10 years. So when I punch this in, I get $350 even. So I definitely make more interest when I worked through the compounding one. Made roughly $28.88 more cents. So interest is greater when you have your compound interest. Example 2. Which is better? So we have three options. We're going to invest $2,500 at 2% a year, compounded annually for 2 years. Then we have the same $2,500, same 2%. This one's compounded semi-annually for 2 years. Then the last one is the same $2,500 at 2% a year, but it's going to be compounded quarterly. So my guess is, right, the more times it's compounded a year, that's when you're going to make the most money. So my guess right away is that the quarterly one is going to be the best. So I'm going to just prove that to you mathematically. So we're going to do 3 calculations: annually, semi-annually, and quarterly. all are still going to use the same formula, which is A equals P 1 plus I to the power of N. So I'm going to calculate I for each one. So I take the 2% divided by 100, which is 0.02. So this one would be 0.02 divided by 1, which is 0.02. This one would be 0.02 divided by 2, because it's twice a year. Quarterly would be 0.02 divided by 4, because it's 4 times a year. So now I'm using the same formula for each. A equals my principal, 1 plus my I. Now this one is 2 years at once a year. This one will be 2 years at twice a year. This will be 2 years at 4 times a year. So now I'm going to add and multiply for each one. My next step for each is to do that part, because on all of them I'm going to be going 25,000, or 2,500, sorry, multiplied by what that answer I got. So 1.0404. And so when I multiplied out the first one, I got $2,601. This one I got $2,601.50, so I made an extra 50 cents. And then this one I got $2,601.76. Yes, I know it wasn't all that much more, because I didn't have a very long term with only 2 years and a very small amount invested. However, if I were to invest it even longer, this one, the quarterly one, would grow much, much faster than the others. And so that is outcome 9B in Math 21. We just finished lesson 5, so now you should be working through practice 5 problems, and then after that, working through the hand-in assignment.